What's up YouTube, this is Shuttleboy and I'm back with yet another video. Today's video we're going to be talking about what sneaker got me into collecting sneakers. So let's get right into it, guys. Alright, so going back to my video that I asked you guys to ask me anything, one of the comments was down below by Sebastian Salas. Sorry if I said that wrong. What pair of sneakers got me into collecting sneakers? So today's video we're going to be talking about that exactly, and it might be something I have brought it up before, but I'm going to go into depth that I know I haven't explained fully in the past. There's two different instances where I would say I got into sneakers, but what got me into collecting versus what got me into sneakers is really kind of two different stories. When I started really getting interest in sneakers was just through basketball. I was a big basketball player in general. I loved playing basketball a lot. Sneakers and basketball come hand in hand pretty much most of the time. So it was really kind of a no-brainer that eventually I would be interested in them. I remember distinctly for the middle school team, it was a tryout team and stuff, and my dad would always let me pick out a pair of sneakers to wear if I made the team. I ended up making the team, and I remember distinctly the year before that I went to the mall, the local mall, and it actually was a pretty good mall at the time. Now the mall by me is terrible, but I have one of the best malls by me a little bit farther away, but that's besides the point. I went to the mall and I ended up seeing the Nike Kobe 5s in the regular black Lakers colorway, and I remember seeing those, distinctly remember seeing those and thinking, where did these come from? How great of a sneaker. I thought this is as perfect as it really gets. I remember just seeing the purple on it was like kind of a smoky purple, and the purple and yellow was just like so shiny, yet at the same time it just worked really well together. I just thought it was such a cool sneaker. And I remember my school, actually, my middle school that I ended up making the team on, the colors were purple and yellow. So I knew if I make the team, I'm gonna try and get those. Now, even though I say that, I didn't end up getting that sneaker because it was about a year later. So I ended up getting the newest Kobe that came out. I probably would have liked to get the sneaker I was talking about specifically, the 5, but they didn't have them in stores, and I just knew the first thing I was gonna get was whatever Kobe was out. So I remember distinctly walking into the Foot Locker. I saw the Kobe, I literally just said what size I wanted, I tried them on, made sure they fit, bought them, and left. It was like the fastest shopping I've ever done. Yeah, I love that sneaker a lot. I was a little bummed that it wasn't the 5. I really liked the 5 the most, but both are really cool. So I'm hoping that Nike brings that sneaker back and actually in that exact color, and I definitely will be buying it. I wouldn't say that necessarily was my big collecting sneaker story. Of course, another thing, kids were really into Kobe's in general at my school in middle school. I remember when I was younger, being a purple and yellow school, we always would get Kobe's, I remember. Also D Roses, just because we're in the Midwest, so D Roses was a big thing. LeBron's was another thing that I really would get into. LeBron's were just, my family was all from Ohio. Unfortunately, around the time that I was starting to get into sneakers, he left Cleveland, so there was a love-hate relationship with him at the time. But LeBron's, people were able to afford Kobe's when I was younger, but LeBron's were just like that, just above that price point that nobody could really afford those. So it's like if you knew a kid with LeBron's, you knew he had that stack of dough. But I remember like freshman year at high school and stuff, a bunch of people having them, and I finally being able to get a pair. I remember it was between 8th grade and 9th grade. I was able to get a pair of, it was like Zoom Soldier 6s, and I believe still to that day that that is still one of my favorite LeBrons. It was such a cool model. But yeah, I remember getting those and being super stoked too. I was able to get some other shoes along the way. For 8th grade basketball, I got D Rose's. Of course, it was the year that he was hurt and out the whole season, so he never wore the damn shoe. I would say that's where my love for sneakers really started. As for collecting goes, I remember in 8th grade seeing a Sports Illustrated cover of Anthony Davis, and he was like stretched out because they were trying to show his length. He stretched out with his leg out really far, as long as the cover was, and I remember seeing the shoe at the end, and I was like, whoa, that is the coolest looking shoe. That shoe was actually the Jordan 10 in the royal colorway. It's like the steel royal colorway, and Anthony Davis was wearing it because he was for Kentucky. I wasn't really a big Anthony Davis fan or Kentucky fan, but I actually don't like Kentucky really at all. I don't hate them, but I just don't like them. But yeah, I remember seeing that shoe and being like, that is one of the coolest looking sneakers ever. So I ended up doing some research after seeing that, and I figured out it was the Jordan 10, and I was looking up about them and stuff, and I figured out they're sold out. That's weird. And I was looking, and it turns out that it's not a new model, it's just a retro model that they release every once in a while. And I was kind of bummed because I wanted to really like get them as soon as possible. But then after looking at that, I ended up looking at all these different Jordan models that have came out in the past. Seeing the 11s was a big one. I remember always wearing those in video games, and I was like, that's the shoe I wear in video games. And then Jordan 3, stuff like that. Yeah, I remember looking at all those and I was like, wow, this is so cool. And that's when I really would say I got into sneakers. That moment, and then just being in freshman in high school right after when that experience happened, and being playing basketball like every day. I just wanted to get all these different basketball shoes coming out. And this was the same time period as when LeBron was on the USA team. I believe that was 2012. And just seeing all the cool shoes those guys were wearing was just so cool to me, and I was like, oh, I really want to try all these new things out. The LeBron 10 came out around then, and yeah, it was just a huge time. Also, being in high school, I ended up seeing a bunch of different kids with just a bunch of crazy sneakers. I don't know why, but I was like, whoa, I never saw any of this in middle school. And like all these kids had like back when the Elite series was super popular, I kept seeing people at the KD5 Elites, I remember, and I was like, whoa, these guys got money. And I was so like, dang, I wanted those so bad. The KD5 EYBL was like one of those models that I was like, that is like such a sweet sneaker. I would love to get those now. I know I wouldn't really wear them now though. But that was one of those shoes that I thought was super cool. Once again, Kobe's was always a big thing too. But yeah, that would really be where I think I started collecting though, because I ended up seeing all these kids with different sneakers like that too, and I didn't specifically always get that shoe. Back around that time period too, we'd always make sure that we always had a different sneaker from everyone else, that nobody else had our sneaker. So I ended up getting Kobe 8s in like a Philippines colorway and wearing a crap load of those. The LeBron 10 Ohio State, like the low, I remember getting as well. And it was like, I tried to make sure that I had enough sneakers that I would always be wearing a different one throughout the week, that I wouldn't wear the same pair twice throughout the 5-day school week. And yeah, I remember just making sure I always had more sneakers so then they wouldn't see me wearing that same sneaker again over and over. Nowadays, I don't really play it that way. I have enough to definitely do that, but I remember distinctly always making sure that I'm not gonna wear that sneaker for a whole week or for 2 weeks, and make sure that they see a different one every single day. And I remember when I had like 30 pairs that I was like, I could go a whole month without wearing the same shoe. And I thought that was so cool. But yeah, it's fun to look back at that now and see how it's become. I was super into the numbers and how many sneakers I have and making sure I have so many. But now I just come to enjoy them. I appreciate everything that I have. It's so cool to me that I own this many, but I'm not really looking necessarily to make sure that I just up my number as fast as possible anymore. That's gonna be the story. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick story time about what sneaker got me into sneakers and how I got into collecting in general, basically. Hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed this story time, guys. Please subscribe if you haven't already for more golf weighing, more sneakers, more stories, more Shuttleboy. And this is Shuttleboy, and I'm out, guys. Peace.